King of Queens was a hit sitcom that pulled in 8.7 million weekly viewers by its 9th and final season. And like any great and long-running sitcom, it had its share of errors and bloopers. Keep watching to learn about the best King of Queens errors and bloopers that only the most diehard fans noticed. How they met. This may be one of the most glaring and difficult to accept errors in King of Queens history. The show presents more than one story about how Doug and Carrie met. One story comes from the flashback episode titled Meat Byproduct. It shows the couple meeting while Doug is a bouncer at a bar. A double date with Richie starts poorly but ends in true love. Another comes up in the episode Road Rage and says they danced to the same song while attending middle school together. There's even another account that says they met while they were children at summer camp, but that turned out to be false. The showrunners decided not to address the confusion. They said fans could decide for themselves which account was true. There is convincing evidence for the bar theory. They're 5 years apart in age and couldn't have been in 9th grade at the same time. The Satchys. Everyone has annoying neighbors, but not everyone gets scammed by them. The Heffernans had to deal with the Satchys who tricked them into getting into a pyramid scheme. They then pack up all their things and run away. That's what makes it strange when they return in the episode Swim Neighbors, where they install an in-ground pool and talk all neighborly to everyone. The scheme is never mentioned again, and it doesn't seem like the Satchys got caught for their crimes. Their dog. The Heffernans are close to Holly, a character who walks dogs for a living. It's not odd that they would find one of their own. What was odd was that he showed up for a few episodes and then was never mentioned again. The pooch's name was Stanley and belonged to their neighbors, the Saxys. They were going to leave him behind, so the Heffernans adopted him. He only stayed around for a few episodes. It gets even more complicated in season 9, episode 5, Rough Going. Doug tries to adopt a dog from a neighbor again in one of his many misguided attempts to prove he's a good person. He mentions that he never had a dog, as if he forgot Stanley ever existed. Carrie and Doug's sisters. Carrie had a half-sister during the first 6 episodes of the first season. Her name was Sarah Spooner, and she was an irresponsible, aspiring actress played by Lisa Rifle. Kevin James explained that the showrunners came up with the idea for her, but then they couldn't decide what to do with her, so she was written out. Sarah was never mentioned again except in one episode of season 3. She's not mentioned by name, but Doug does ask to attend Carrie's sister's event to get out of going to another one. All other episodes refer to Carrie as an only child. Doug Heffernan also had a sister who didn't do a disappearing act, but did take some time to get mentioned. Stephanie didn't show up until the 3rd season and only appeared in 6 episodes. Richie Disappears. The character who pulled the biggest disappearing act on King of Queens may be Richie Iannucci. He was a firefighter and a part of Doug's core friend group. He showed up often until the 3rd season. After that, he never appeared or was spoken of again, except in flashbacks at the end of the series. The showrunners took him off at the request of the actor who played him. Larry Romano, who has no relation to Kevin James's friend Ray Romano, asked them to. He wanted to work on another sitcom called Kristen. It was the right decision, but the fans would have appreciated a better ending for him. Motionless Spence. Patton Oswalt played Spencer Olchin, the awkward friend of the Heffernan family. In the opening of Emotional Roller Coaster, the 19th episode of season 8, he's seen standing completely still for 3 solid minutes during Doug's 40th birthday party. Patton revealed the reason for the crazy moment in an episode of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon in 2011. The show's creators apparently used it as an intentional gag. They wanted to see if anyone on set would notice, and apparently they didn't. Only diehard fans picked it out later. Spence's peanut allergy. Spence is also involved in another major inconsistency in the show. His peanut allergy isn't mentioned until the 4th season in the episode Friender Bender. Kirby teases him for it and gives him the name Scaredinator. The problem with this is that it doesn't match earlier episodes. Spence eats peanut M&Ms in a 1st season episode called Richie's Song. He even asks if they have peanuts in them and indulges anyway. Random children. Keeping track of every detail on set is difficult, but diehard fans may notice something strange on the Heffernans' fridge. They have pictures of children on it, but they're not their best friend Deacon's son Major or anyone else they would know. They're just random children. The prevailing theory is that these were pictures of the crew members' children, but it's not clear. There are also pictures of Don Geronimo and Mike O'Meara from the radio show The Don and Mike Show. Doug and Carrie do reference not knowing who they are as an inside joke. They both guest starred in Season 2, Episode 10, Roman Holiday. Carrie's two identical bosses. Carrie switched jobs at least temporarily during the show. She started working at the law firm Kaplan, Hornstein & Steckler and then went on to a real estate firm. What made this odd was that her bosses at both locations were played by the same actor, Victor Rader Wexler. This meant they looked exactly the same even though they were supposed to be different men. Doug and Ray interacted, but not Carrie and Debra. Fans love shared universes, and there were hints of one between Everybody Loves Raymond and King of Queens. Kevin James and Ray Romano were friends, so they appeared on each other's shows often. The strange thing about it was, while Doug and Ray got to hang out, Carrie and Debra only did once. They met in the episode Dire Straits and seemed to connect while complaining about their husbands. So why did the creators not go beyond that? Carrie wasn't always called Carrie. Carrie accompanies her father to her mother's grave in the episode Ragin' Bulls. That's where they find out she was originally called Simone. A flashback shows how Arthur lost the name he wanted to call her in a poker game. It shows she was at least in elementary school at the time. This brings up the issue of why she doesn't remember her former name. Can Arthur play the piano or can't he? Carrie's father, Arthur, wasn't afraid to claim he can do anything, but there's one skill of his that has been brought into question. One of the most questionable is playing the piano. In an early episode, he gets an apartment of his own and tickles the ivories to the surprise of Doug. Later on in the series, Deacon asks him to give his son's piano lessons, and he can't play a single note. Is he a virtuoso, or was he playing some kind of trick? The Changing Box Set. Arthur was involved in a strange continuity error. It involved one of his most prized possessions in the basement he lives in, a Civil War box set from PBS. The videos changed drastically within a single scene. They switched from a Civil War box set to a Great War collection and then back to a Civil War set. There's never been an explanation for this drastic shift. Doug's birth. Most fans missed an interesting detail in Season 5, Episode 23, Dog Shelter. Doug and Carrie visit their parents in Florida, and he finds out how many things his parents have lied about to save his feelings. They even discover that Doug was born in Canada. The date of his birth is even fuzzier than the location. In one episode, he lists his birthday as February 9th, 1965. He said his star sign is Pisces in another episode, but that date would make him an Aquarius. Geographical errors. Where else could a show called King of Queens be set but New York? It's an important part of the show's vibe, but it was difficult to maintain while filming in Hollywood. A few shots that take place outside in Los Angeles show palm trees that could never grow in New York. Others reference restaurants that aren't in the city, such as when they drink from paper cups from In-N-Out Burger or mention going to Dairy Queen. House errors. All of the exterior shots of the Heffernan house are actually of a house at 519 Longview Avenue, Cliffside Park, New Jersey. It's stock footage that was originally used in the 1991 film Sibs. The issue is that these outside shots don't match the interior of the house. For example, the door is on the right in outside shots, but in the middle in inside shots. Their living room has windows on both sides of the front door, but the outside shows all the windows to the left of the door. It also has no porch, despite multiple episodes with shots of the characters on the front porch. Even the wall phone can't stay consistent. It changes from blue to white and cordless to corded from episode to episode. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite episode of King of Queens? Let us know in the comments section below.